you have felt in the morning if you would have found out that
I'm happy that you asked us. There's no question.
Exactly. So I went to ask, already the plan, if they cannot sleep without the air condition, which I understand. I see how some people in this country suffer terribly from the heat. They cannot bear when it starts to get hot. But then I saw the temperature is really cool, and I thought, okay, I'll go and ask. But with the plan, if they, because that's how I said, would it be possible for you to shut it down? If it's not possible, it's okay, and I would have gone to the Gompa. I already had the plan. If they don't shut it down, it's good. I'd only plan B. Yeah. Then I go here, and I would have slept here very happily. I love to sleep on the floor anyway. So if at one point you find out that I slept in the Gompa, don't feel bad. I don't suffer from that. I would have taken my pillow and my cover and would have come here. No problem. But not out of anger. Yeah? But so that I get what I want, and then others also get what they want. Yeah? So this is what we can sometimes do. It's not that every time we have to then, give him the victory, and okay, and then if we can give him the victory happily, then that's fine. Thinking, wow, now whose victory is it? It's mine. You see, every time you give the victory to somebody else, you have won the battle. You are the one who benefits from it. Yeah. So this was. Thank you very much for giving me this example, because it's a very good way to answer that question. Yeah. Then also, how long do you practice patience? Because when you practice patience, we come to that tomorrow. There's 3 kinds of patience. Patient with difficult situations. So you train. But when the aversion comes up and there's nothing you can do about it, then you go and change something if you can change something. But you're not changing it the first moment. First you endure as long as you can. When practicing patience starts to harm your practice and you're full of anger and aggression, then move, go away. Don't practice patience. You're not capable. It's too big. Like the object is too big. So then you just move away. Is that clear? How do you distinguish between being victor or abused? Well, you should nobody let abuse you. I don't know if I should say what Lama Zopa at one point said. I don't know if you're strong enough to hear it. I don't know if you're understanding what he said, because when he said it, there was quite a few women very angry leaving the Gompa. It becomes abuse when you label it abuse. That's very difficult to take. This is why I said be prepared. You don't have to accept it. But it's good to hear. Even those people who stormed out of the Gompa a little bit later, they say, I'm so happy to hear that.
So can you say more about it?
Yeah. So if you can protect, this is for people who have already been abused. So who take it with them and to continue to suffer. Why? Because you label it abuse. You don't label it past abuse. You don't label it like my responsibility because I was there. You don't label it, now this is only for the Buddhists, you don't label it, wow, for me it's finished. The other person has it in front of him or her. You label it, I have been abused, as if it happened 5 minutes ago for the rest of your life. You label it. Yeah? Now, again, it is so complicated. It's really complicated. And you have to be quite realized to be able to bear abuse. Okay, or maybe. Somebody who is abusing you is mad, doesn't see reality. It is somebody who wants to be happy and has really totally the wrong methods to be happy. If you would be working in a psychiatric clinic and somebody would would even attack you physically, would that act have the same seriousness that you carry with you for the rest of your life? Yes or no? No. Why? Because you understand that this person is certified mad. We are all mad. We all don't see reality as it is. And then also sometimes, the thought, for me it's finished. You see, if you want to be in a good position, you're in a better position, the victim, than the one who is abusing you, actually, if we are realistic. You get compassion, you get understanding, people help you. If you are the abuser, you can't even tell anybody what happened because you're so afraid that people will jump on you and hate you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, it's not that I have abused people with words, because I said I had this thing that somebody would just come into my field of vision and I had spontaneous aversion for them. And with my words, I was very unkind. And I felt really bad about this. And I can't, in my non-Buddhist environment that I couldn't talk to anybody about this, that I feel bad. And I had to cook up excuses why I was doing it, and I had to suppress the bad feelings. And there's nothing I could do against this shempa of letting the word out. Now, having been in the role of the also abused, like not kind of big, but just like not being respected and whatever I did was wrong, and I have been in that role and I've been in the other role. If I have a choice, I choose the victim, because I can move away, and it's as a victim, if you have the tools, it's much easier to work with, the aggression towards the abuser than if you are the abuser, because you hate yourself. You really do. Nobody is abusing on purpose. That's very difficult to understand, and for the ego it's very difficult to let go, because it has been holding on to that view. That person is bad. And I understand that this view is developing very big, because somehow you need to console yourself, you need to protect yourself, especially if it's somebody that is supposed to protect you, especially if it happened in the family. That's just about the worst thing. It's so difficult to work with that. So please, if something like this has happened to you, don't go to that person and generate compassion and bodhicitta. First go to a therapist. And then work with the therapist and with maybe Buddhist views together. Otherwise, you're going to destroy yourself, because you will not be able to have compassion for that person. It's far too big, and you will break, and that would be a shame. Yeah? So we start with small people who kind of shout at us or dislike us or something like that. But do you think it's possible to let go of that negative feeling towards your abuser? Yes. And then you're free. And you're the only one who can do this.
I think it's different to get rid from the negative feeling against the abuser, and I think about a child being sexually abused in the family. Maybe he can get rid of the emotions as an adult, the negative emotions, but it has consequences of panic attacks, fears.
Don't you think the abuser also has panic attacks?
Yeah, but I mean...
Yeah, but okay, that one we leave aside, isn't it?
I'm putting that... Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's saying that being abused is only if you label yourself like that.
I didn't say it, Lama Zopa said it.
Yeah, you just...
and I was kind of wondering whether I should tell you or not. Now I see maybe it wasn't so helpful.
No, but in this sense that people are being deprived of something that they needed for their development.
Yeah.
And that's the...
So you can hold on to that for the rest of your life, even as a very grown-up person. or you can start working with it. I think in one of the videos of Tenzin Palmo, you remember? That some person who said, my parents, blah, blah, and she got very forceful. And she said, I think it's time that you stop blaming your parents. You're a grown-up person now. As long as we blame somebody else, we cannot let go.
But it's not a matter of blame. I know someone who grew without parents, okay? She's not blaming anybody. She has nobody to blame, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But she has, she suffers very much from insecurities or from
Samsara.
So
I mean,
because-
again, it's like, yeah, there are situations like this, and it's really, really sad. Where does it come from? From the Buddhist point of view. But then again, it's not the same situation. Was that person without parents abused?
Yes.
Okay.
From other people.
You know, I know,
And she's
again,
not angry. She's not angry with them.
well, how can we know that she's not angry at them? How can we know? Sometimes also the anger is suppressed. You know, if it's you, you could say, I am really not angry at them. When I see them, see, how do you know whether you're angry or not? When you see somebody that has abused you, and I'm talking about small abuse here, because otherwise, you know, talking in a group, this is very dangerous. Individual, I can kind of a little bit figure out where the person stands. And I don't know who is sitting here who has been abused. And for those people, sometimes to hear these things are not helpful, are really not helpful. Yeah? So, how can you know that you have really forgiven? When you see that the person is happy and it makes you happy. Then you can say, I'm not angry at them. But how can we know how somebody else feels? Even we're their therapist. How can we know? Because so many things in our society get suppressed. Fear, anger, whatever. Because we don't dare. You know, maybe somebody who has been abused has seen the effect of anger and then doesn't dare to be angry because they know the effect. But it doesn't make the anger go away. Yeah? Now, please, I hope nobody heard that I said abusing others is okay because they just need to learn to label it. I didn't say that. It's terrible that people get abused. But again, try to imagine if you, at one point, you would have been so much out of your mind and you have abused somebody. How would you feel? Then we go, no, I would never do that. How can we be so sure? How can we be so sure? Do you see what I mean? Yeah? We have this is also, I think I said it, as a realized being, you are able to include the victim and the aggressor into your compassion, wanting this to stop, and putting a lot of effort into also making the abuser happy. We want the abuser to suffer. We want them to be unhappy because it's their fault. Isn't it? That's a bit our very deep-seated attitude. And we think it helps us to deal with our pain. It doesn't. And you can read so many reports of people who have had, like, lost their children through murder or rape and murder or even horrific things. I mean, what human beings are able to do is unbelievable. It's unbelievable because of disturbing emotions. Not because they want to do that, because their mind is even much more crazy than ours. And then maybe there was death sentence and they killed the person and they say, it didn't help, I don't feel better. Then there's other reports where there's one story which is really nice. There's this man I talked about it already in Yom Kippur, I think. This man, he lost his son through murder. Like, his son is a student, really nice guy, no harming anybody, and working for money at the pizza delivery so that he could pay for his, like students do, they work. And somebody ordered a pizza, he brought it, the guy was totally full with drugs, and he opened the door and he shot him. And somehow this man was thinking, there's two victims here, my son and the murderer. Now, I have lost my son, but this murderer also, he had no parents, he was like terrible childhood, and this is why he became a drug addict. And so he started taking care of that person in prison as if it's his son. And then he started a whole organization which is doing that. And he said then that's what made him recover from his anger. And this is very, very high. I mean, this is very, very difficult. So don't underestimate the wisdom that you need and the compassion, wisdom especially, to really understand on a very, very, very deep level, this is the only way I can heal. And again, you see, we judge from one lifetime. How does that child deserve it? Nobody deserves to be abused. But it's a result which had a cause. So sometimes when we hear the abuser will be punished anyway at one point, it always makes us a little bit, we like to go there. We like to think about this. But then when we have to start thinking, but where is the victim coming from? You see, if you would know that somebody who has been abused is the mind stream of Hitler, would you still have compassion for that abused person? So maybe it's good that we don't know where the victims are coming from and what they have done. Do you see what I mean? It's very serious business what we are discussing here. And it's very, very, to go there and to really be able to forgive, I mean, this is like huge. It's a huge task. But it's the only way you can heal. And these step by step, going there, might help you. I also met a young man who had been abused by his dad. Like, he wanted to please his father. You see, sometimes having parents is it can be actually better not to have parents. So he was abused by, cigarettes on his skin, beaten up. Whatever he did was wrong, and he really tried to please his dad. So, of course, he had a lot of anger for his dad, but he also was disturbed by this. Yeah? And so he went into therapy. He also met Buddhism more or less at the same time, and he was really able to forgive his dad. He has no contact with his father, but he says, I am able from the bottom of my heart to say, may you be well, may you be happy. And he said, that's the best feeling I have ever had in my life, because that's real love. Because it's not kind of based on conditions that this person is nice to me, and that love will hold. But that doesn't mean you have contact with the person. Yeah? Or another even more drastic example is in Spain, we had this kind of course, and so at the end we did Tonglen, and I told the people when they take the antagonist, I said, please, please, do not take your biggest one. But some people do, because they get fed up with this whole thing. So then after the meditation, a woman came to my room. She was vomiting the whole night. In the morning she said, I was raped. And I don't know why, but I took that rapist to take his future suffering of being raped. So what the vomiting was, I don't know. Maybe the rebellion of the I, of the ego, or some purification, I have no clue. In the morning she said, since then, I have never felt so good like this morning, because I am sick and tired to see in every man my rapist. By taking on the future suffering, she said, I don't know, I heard you say don't take this person, but I did. And she said, I'm really happy that I did. Another example, an Irish guy, we talked about the kindness of the parents, because in Tushita it's 10 days, so we do both methods. So I talked about the kindness of the parents. After when I finished, I thought he would strangle me. He came, he was white with anger, and he said, how dare you say that my parents are kind? So I said, well, first of all, sit down and look. I didn't say your parents are kind. I said, like, in general, the parents are very kind. I said, what? Tell me, what happened? So a bit the same story as before, like abusive father, being beaten up all the time, no time, no. So then again, he continued with the course. He calmed down a little bit, but he was very aggressive, like by almost, you can't say by nature, but his characteristics. This I have problems to tell you because I usually start crying because it's so moving, because I experienced it really myself, the transformation. So at the end, when we did, again, the last meditation was Tong Leng, so he must have taken his parents. And he came to see me, he was totally open, and he just said, really kind of wondering, and he said, wow, I never knew that compassion feels so much better than hate. It doesn't mean that that will hold next time he sees his parents. But something, the heart cracked a little bit. And this is where the light came in. And there's a crack in everything. And this is how the light gets in. If we don't suffer, we have no compassion. We can only have compassion because we know suffering. And compassion is a beautiful mind. Yeah? But don't overdo it. Please don't. So now, what's her name? Shoshi, I think.
Shoshi.
Huh? Shoshi. Are you there? You wanted to tell us about the movie. I'm sorry, I had to finish my stories.
You mentioned the word heal several times, so there is a movie, I think it was lately released. I watched the movie about a month ago, and it's called Heal, and it traces people who faced atrocities all over the globe, and how they managed to overcome and forgive.
Yeah.
So it's all documented. It's really healing. It's a healing process to watch this movie.
Exactly. So it's very inspiring to see if you don't have a lot to forgive. Then you're very moved. If you have a lot to forgive, again, such a movie can be a heavy burden. Oh, I should forgive. Yeah. So again, forgiving is a very nice idea as long as nothing big has happened. When something big has happened, please don't underestimate the task. Please don't. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And I think the first thing you have to do is to forgive yourself having been in that spot. And you need an explanation. So at one point also, I think somebody came to see me that told me she had been, the stories that I hear. The first time I heard a woman tell me about her father kind of abused her sexually quite often when she was 9 years old. I was sitting there, as I'm telling you, I'm not a psychologist, I didn't know what to say. I was just listening, I didn't know what to say. And she came next day and she said, you helped me so much by not saying anything. Because usually when I tell the story, people kind of, your dad is bad, and how dare you having done that, and it doesn't help me. Because somewhere, she said, somewhere deep down, I have love for my father, but it can't come out because I don't dare. And she said, you just listening, it really helped. It's the first time that somebody just listened. So I said, well, I was honest. I said, I listened because I didn't know what to say. I mean, what can you say? What can you say? So also, I think I told the story already 3 or 4 times, but some people have not been here. There was a talk by Ringo Tulku about karma, and somebody said, I have been cheated by my business partner for big money sums, for big sums of money. I could go to court, but the person, first of all, he denies everything. I would need good lawyers, because I don't have proper proof, and the person is really angry, so I'm kind of afraid of him. As a Buddhist, what shall I do, or what would you do? I don't know if she was a Buddhist. So Rinpoche said, whether you go to court or not is not important. If you want to go to court, you go to court. If you think it's not worthwhile, you don't. But you need to work with your anger, because otherwise it will spoil your life. That's what it does. And as long as we keep blaming the other person, the anger will persist. You know, blaming, not being angry at them, but I am like this because that happened. You kind of lock the door for change and for transformation, because you give away all responsibility. But it's difficult. It's really difficult. So please be gentle with yourself. Don't push. But keep working at it, because you want to have a happy life, and you deserve to have a happy life. Whatever happened in the past, it doesn't need to spoil your life. But as long as we have this view, it will spoil your life. And that's a shame, because we all have the potential to be happy. Heavy stuff. Very heavy stuff. So when pain comes, let it out. It's fine. It's okay. It's painful. It is really painful. Yeah. And not being able to forgive is even more painful than what happened then. Yeah. So first thing you have to do is to be really gentle with yourself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be free from pain. Not even may I be able to forgive. Just may I be safe, may I be free from pain. Again and again and again. Until you feel that you're not angry at yourself anymore, that you can't forgive, or that this has happened to you. It's a long process, and you need help. Somebody also at one point said, you know, if the bubble bursts and you start to understand what happened, then you need somebody there to catch you. Somebody who also was able to let go. But she said, if I wouldn't have had that person to catch me, when I was able to really see what had happened to me, not to deny it anymore, I really needed somebody there to catch me. So don't try to do this alone. Yeah? I think they're very good therapists who can support that work very gently, going step by step. Okay? Even if it's not okay, it's okay. Yeah? Yeah, this is samsara. This is what the Buddha says. There's a lot of pain, grief, and despair. What are the causes? Wrong views of believing in a self that I need this now, I don't care about this other person. This is what stands behind it. Not caring about other people. Not caring about consequences. Because not believing also in law of cause and effect. Because that fear of a long-term consequence might be able to, that the Shenpa can be resisted. That's the only way, you know, and it's very healthy fear. Then the fear comes after the act has been done. So you see, it's okay to have guilt and shame, but you need to use it before you do the action, not afterwards. Afterwards is not helpful. Guilt and shame can be very strong mental factors who say, oh, I would feel ashamed if somebody finds out I don't want to do this. Then it's helpful. If you come in with guilt when it's already done, it's not helping. Okay. We make 2-3 minutes break, so you can go to the loo if you need to. You can use the first rooms again there if the queue is long. And then we try some Tonglen with ourselves. Okay? With ourselves.